Welcome to Late Night Discussions with Tina Moe from the Tina Moe For Show YouTube page. This is the space where we take things hidden behind darkness and begin to shed some light onto the black spaces of silence, shame, ruminating thoughts of self-worth, and all of the things unspoken that need a voice. What I do when broken is not a space for singing sad songs and rehearsing old hurts, but it's about what authentic resilience looks like in the face of everyday challenges. No need for tissues. We all have issues. But now it's time to face the music and speak to the elephant in the room. Today is a day that the getting and understanding is priority. So if you're willing to hear some truth and don't mind saying out, then let's take this journey together. Get your flashlights out. It's about to get dark. Hello, hello, hello. So glad that you were able to take the time to hang out with me tonight. Um, as you could tell by the thumbnail, I'm going to be talking about a few things that have been on my mind actually within the past couple of hours. I appreciate you, Dr. Ninja Turtle. I see you. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Chapmans. I don't expect a big turnout as I, uh, for the most part, try to avoid um, most nights because, especially whenever I'm going to deal with something that I feel is relatively heavy or that I feel like is going to need my undivided attention, because I know sometimes um, in allowing the space to be filled with so many people, I'm more inundated with um, what is going on in the chat than I am with the subject matter at hand. And because this happens to be one of those topics that I find to have quite a bit of gravity, I wanted to stay grounded, just to be able to talk about the things that are on my mind. Get in, get out, and get gone. So I most certainly appreciate you, Dr. Ninja Turtle. We are up so late because we are night owls for whatever reason. That's one thing I could say, at least for myself, is I am, in fact, a night owl. I generally don't even like to really even be awake unless the sun is down. I've been that way the majority of my life. I can remember being up late as early as 3 years old. And so it's one of those things that I just come alive. The later it gets, the more energy I have. The later it gets, the more thoughts begin to surface. I begin to think better, clearer, um, and I can have some in-depth conversation at night. ABCM channel, I see you. I appreciate your presence. Welcome to the Chapmans. I don't know if I've ever seen you on one of these before. And yes, this is late night, and so um, I appreciate your presence. I see you. Crystal, here it is. You managed to slip your way in here tonight. It's good to see you. Oh, well, I'm talking about some good night. You are most certainly correct. Good morning. Um, but if for those of you all who may or may not have seen the title, um, it's talking about procrastination continues. You know, I had done a thing or a series on procrastination and ended up picking up another subject as it pertains to procrastination, which is accountability versus consequences. Yeah, you're here now, and so you get to hear an earful. Uh, Whew, I hope y'all praying for me. At least those of you all who do pray. I mean, if you know anything, send some timber up for me. Um, as you all know, I prefer to be as transparent as possible. I go through things. I'm human, and that's not to make an excuse for, making bad decisions or doing things that I feel like I shouldn't have done, or I should have taken time to be more thoughtful in my actions. But there are times where I have a hiccup somewhere down the line, or I might have said something that was placed wrong, or in my space, there's a thing of influence. Uh, JD, I see you. Appreciate your presence. Welcome to the chat, miss. Uh, uh, from the SIP, I see you as well. Boy, you all are pouring in tonight. Here it is. I just knew this is a work day. People have to get up early in the morning, and they most certainly won't be listening to me tonight. And here it is, y'all done squeezed in. I appreciate you all um, still for your presence. Um, but as I said, in the procrastination series, this portion continues as a continuation of the you have two lives up. Yes, there is a live up on the vertical if you have a mobile, and then there's the horizontal, which is the regular live, um, the one that you would normally see. Well, it would help if I posted some of these chatments up here so y'all can know who's saying what, because I'm just talking. And I'm not even paying attention to the fact y'all waving and everything. And I'm so busy trying to go on about my little life because I'm nervous about what I'm about to talk about that I'm just that skipped everything. Um, but yes, I most certainly. Um, whew, I'm so nervous right now. So nervous. And you was probably wonder what in the world is it that you need to talk about that will have you so nervous. Well, when it comes to accountability, sometimes we feel like, I could just tell my buddy and it'll be okay, or I can just pray about it and I'll be just fine. It's nobody else's business what's going on. Even if you have a hiccup online, or even if you have some type of situation where it's in the public, you're like, okay, I can always, send an email or make a phone call or uh, uh, jump in somebody's DM, to let them know something. But there are times in our lives where we have to be held accountable. And because of who we are as people, that accountability comes with so much more than just deciding that, yes, it's very hard to hold ourselves accountable. Yes, indeed. Especially when you can hide behind whatever, because some people will be like, who is it? Who is you to be holding yourself accountable? These are people that you don't know, but yet um, I live a life where I live a life of conviction. I live a life that causes me to come into a space where I recognize and realize that when I've done something wrong, it won't sit well with me on my conscience. It won't sit well with me internally. And because I've noticed that, it's something that I know I have to speak to, I have to acknowledge, and I have to deal with. And today was one of those days. Well, today slash tonight or what have you, overnight, because again, this feels like night to me. It's only 1:40 where I am, but I'm sure for the rest of you all is later than that. It could be 2:41, closer to 3 o'clock than it is closer than 2 o'clock. But I won't be before you long because of course I got to be somewhere my own self. um Tonight I had a couple of reminders of how influence is a major deal. Influence is a I need professional, hold on, let me post this. You need professional help. Here we go. I mean, I can imagine. Um, Here it is. I've had a couple of situations that reminded me of how Um, I have to be careful about what I say. I have to be careful. Oh, that's good to know. We're in the same time zone, Dr. Ninja Turtle. Um, I have to be mindful of what I say, even when it feels like what I'm saying is not harmful. Even when I feel like a person should be able to take it on the shoulder and going on about their business. Even when I feel like other people are just as guilty I am in the space of certain conversations or as it pertains to certain things in partnership or whatever the space is where some type of whether it's a verbal or physical encounter or whatever that tension in fellowship, whatever leads to that tension in fellowship. And I think about that because so many times I've been told um, and warned about what I say, about how people listen and respond to what they're listening to. Um, it's not necessarily a new phenomena with me because I have had quite a bit of history as it pertains to influence. Influence in the street, influence as far as a job is concerned, influence as it pertains to my vocation, spiritually, all kind different areas of um, influence. It is so easy to feel like no harm, no foul. That person said what they wanted to say. I said what I wanted to say, and let bygones be bygones. But then there are other times where you say something and you're not thinking about how much of an impact what you're saying to an individual. I hold myself accountable in that, and it didn't really dawn on me until maybe about an hour or so ago. I was having a conversation with someone on the phone when it was brought to my attention that some things that I had said affected someone. And I say that um in that they didn't specifically say, when you said this to me, this bothered me in such and such a way. It wasn't one of those type of situations. I literally saw a person spiraling to some degree. And some of it was because of some things that I had said, some areas in which I had influence. And because I was haphazard in that sphere of influence, it hurt someone. And I saw it. And so it's so easy to take on the mentality or the mindset that we're all adults. Um, People need to grow up, or people need to get a hold to how they feel or deal with their emotions, or people need therapy. It's a lot of things that people can say, but not always do they say that person was wrong for what they said. Not always do we come to a place where we're like, you know what, regardless to how they responded to what I said, I still was wrong for what I said. And that while um some people can handle what you say, or at least they give you the illusion in some instances that they can handle it. Or and when I say handle it, I don't mean that, if you say it to them, they're gonna fall out and or jump off a bridge or something. But sometimes people some things that you say to people can hit them. And once it hits them, hey DeAndre, I appreciate your presence. Welcome to the chat, miss. Um, I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Sometimes we don't always come to a place where we're willing to admit, had I not said what I said, would the person have responded in the way that they did? Regardless to who started what first. regardless to where um, a person may have thought, what a person may have thought. When you take a introspective look on how things were done from your own perspective, if the shoe was on the other foot, how would I want someone to handle me after I've been offended? After someone has said to me something that I didn't agree with? After something that someone has spoken to me has, in fact, I found vile, I found offensive. Um, with that being said, um, there were it was more than one thing that came across my mind on tonight. I was in the live earlier tonight, and some of you all were present. Some of you all weren't. But I was in a live tonight, and as always, I'm joking around, poking fun, talking like I talk. You know, if I'm not being deep and uh philosophical, I could be silly at times. Um, and along other things, but a lot of times I'm poking fun and can toe the line very very close as it pertains to being on the edge of disrespectful, being on the edge of um on the edge of saying something that can be offensive without me knowing that what I'm saying is about to offend someone, or not knowing that the things that are coming to a head are actually coming to a head because of something that I would have started. And it just was a reminder to me of how when I was called out about it, instead of me taking a moment to consider that I could have been wrong, I got defensive, desiring to hold my position, desiring to um, possibly point the finger at someone else. When in fact, this was a moment for me to reflect about the caution signs that I had been given in the past, about the power of the things that I say, about the influence that can occur as it pertains to the things that I say. And I'm not saying that as it pertains to having power over someone, they feeling away, or it just could be the thing of being misleading. It could be the thing of giving the wrong impression. It's still wrong, especially if I didn't make myself clear at any given time. And so I had to have a seat, as someone would say. I had to have a moment to reflect on to how did I get to this space? Regardless to what was said to me, how did I respond? Regardless to what someone else thinks, and I may even disagree. Have I done all that I could do to rectify the situation? Had I done all that I could do to let a person know that you were right for feeling the way you felt? Your feelings are, in fact, valid. And I should not have gone as far or said what I said that was offensive to you. And while it may be one of those things, oh, it's nothing, stuff happens, this, that, and the other. I still take into consideration that we don't always own up to the fact that we do mess up sometimes. Um, People hold on to what's said. That is true. That is true. But sometimes what we say that they hold on to, um, in some regards, they have a right to hold on to it because they may feel like you're telling them the truth. They may feel like you're being honest and forthcoming. They may feel like you're being bold in your assessment or whatever it is that you're saying in that moment. I think sometimes we like to villainize other people for how they take what we say rather than considering that what I said could have been said differently or shouldn't have been said at all. DeAndre said, people are quick to believe and stand by he say, she say stuff. I mean, well, that's a different situation, you know, when it comes to people, and rumors. I can't speak to my situation as it necessarily being a rumor. This is a thing of I had a conversation in public. Someone publicly rebuked me about what I said and the effect that it had as it pertains to them and how it changed the way they saw me. Instead of me saying I was wrong for that, I nearly doubled down on what I was saying. And um and because of that, that was where I was wrong. Because I should have acknowledged that I was wrong, period. That I was wrong in the things that I was saying and the way that I went about it was wrong. And because it was done on a public forum, you're talking about other people being involved, adding gasoline to a fire, and things of that nature. And while, again, when it comes to people and they having fun and they just living in the moment, people do what people do. But that has nothing to do with where I stand as it pertains to, but I know better. As it pertains to, it should have been a moment of reflection and not a moment of deflection. Um, I take these things seriously, and that so many times I have been told, you don't know how to talk to people. Now, true enough, I've had moments in my life where, I could cuss with the best of them. You know, I'm not, that's not a part of my life now. I mean, by and large, because I'm just not a cusser like that. Um, have I said a word or two that I probably should have said? Yes, I have. You know, um, but it's not in my regular vocabulary to be running around cussing all the time because I have a pretty extensive vocabulary where I could get my point across without the profanity. Not judging anyone else and how they say things, but that's just me. Um, we are not perfect. We learn from our mistakes. I mean, that is true. That is true. That is so true. We do learn from our mistakes if we're willing to learn. Um, Sometimes you could be warned by a plethora of people, um, and they're constantly trying to give you wisdom in that they see you headed away that's going to get you caught up one day, and instead of you taking heed, you decide I'm going to do things the way I want to anyway, and then next thing you know, you have casualties that are piling up because of the thing that you won't submit yourself to as it pertains to wisdom. Um, Friend of Sip said, I would rather handle things privately so no discrepancies. Um, I understand that. In some cases that's not always the easiest way to handle things. Um, I feel like if I did something to somebody privately I'll handle that situation. If I did something publicly to somebody publicly, I'll handle that situation. Even if that means I have to humble myself to apologize and say I was wrong, to acknowledge that I was wrong. Um, and to make the effort to commit to doing things differently at the point of recognizing what that wrong is. Hello, James. It's good to see you. Hello, my gorgeous friend. How are you doing? I'm doing as well as I can do at the moment. Um, I'm okay. But again, it's one of those things where I'm trying my best to just make it through um as it pertains to this particular content tonight because as always I see you, King. Uh I try my best to make it through these things as openly and as transparently as possible because it's not to put anyone on blast. It's not to um even make a spectacle out of a brief conversation, but it's more so about holding myself accountable. Because the reason why I said this is a procrastination continues is because what happens when someone has already been talking to you about a situation that you keep ignoring? What happens when someone has already said to you, hey, you need to slow down? If you hit that speed bump, you're going to go airborne. You're going to knock the stew out of something, or you're going to hit somebody if you keep driving fast down that road with the speed bump. Or, hey, that's a dead end or unallowed. I don't even know how do you say a street sign on YouTube? Because this is ridiculous. But anyway, how do you know when you've come to the end of a road outside of the having the signs that says, hey, you're going the wrong direction? Hey, this thing ends at some point. Hey, if you treat this street like you treat the highway, you're going to hit a brick wall. And I ignored all the street signs. I ignored all the detour signs. I ignored all of the signs that would say, hey, the way you're handling things isn't right. Hey, the way you do things are not right. And that's something that I still have to take into consideration. First and foremost, as a woman. Um, Secondarily, um, as a person that professes to know God, regardless to how I feel about having the freedoms of what I say. Every now and then someone needs to pull my coattail because I can get outlandish. I can say things that can be offensive. And even more so, it can be offensive to people who are looking for me to hold a standard or are looking for me to be an example, especially at this great big old age. Now, I know y'all don't know how old I am. I do not discuss my age. The most you get from me is that I'm Gen X. But one thing I can say is I'm old enough to know better. I'm old enough to make a turn, to make a change. Then it becomes a learning lesson. Yes, indeed, from the SIP. Um, I've been on here 30 minutes expressing how much I no longer want to continue to procrastinate in knowing to do right and choosing to do otherwise. Likewise, I don't want to be um continue to be caught with my pants down, proverbially pause. All because I'm not willing to gird myself properly. Knowing that the truth of the matter is what I say affects people, whether I want it to or not, whether I like it or not, whether I agree with it or not. The one thing that I've always believed in is do no harm. Do no harm. We have so many people that experience so many things, and we don't know what they're experiencing. We don't know what they've been through. We don't know what they're going through. We don't even know what they're going through currently. And sometimes we can find ourselves in the space of, I'm just having fun with the wrong individual. And so today, um, I want to apologize to you all. I want to offer my sincere apologies for the times that I ignored the red flags and kept going anyway. For the times that I knew that what I was about to say could be detrimental. But because I was being selfish, I did it anyway. I said it anyway. And the thing that I didn't want to happen, hope might not happen, happened anyway due to my own selfishness, my own immaturity, and my own lack of accountability. These words may not mean much to you, but I do want it on the record that is, while it is not my intent to hurt, everything has not landed well. I appreciate you all for listening to me tonight. Um, for those of you all who have heard me, hopefully you heard my heart. And I'm just looking forward to things being different, for change to be effective. Because there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's certainly other things that can be said, and I still had the same effect without the casualties. With that being said, thank you all for hanging out with me, lending me your ears, your undivided attention. God bless you, and good night.